Things. Okay, now maybe you can hear it. Okay, cool. You can hear it now. I don't like those settings. Okay, for one, I'm gonna get rid of this headset. I want you to unplug that headset completely. It can go away. I don't care about the headset. I'm gonna put this headset on, which this headset is not the best either. It has like a weird thing going on, even though it's like a $200 headset. I guess it's good to hear it in this headset because like it does tell when my audio is that bad. Yeah, it's doing stuff. It's doing stuff. Okay. Well, we got audio working, so I'm happy. Okay. How's everybody doing today? So today I was gonna kind of go back to the drawing board of not or the drawing board. We're going back to programming out our Godot thing. Yes, our fun Godot project. So we're gonna do that. I'm kind of wondering, do we want to resize stuff such that we can do stuff? I don't know. Let me look at this. Hello there, Dev X Styler. Hey man, I can't stay for long. Just checking on what you're doing, but keep it up. Have fun and good luck. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. I need that good luck and stuff. All right, so let's go over a bit since this guy's kind of wondering what we're doing. So I'm trying to build a terminal emulator because freaking actually, I don't know. What do you call a terminal emulator? It will register terminal stuff, but basically I don't like how terminals are so hostile to beginner developers and stuff like that. So we are going to build ourselves a new one. So we're not, just to clarify what a terminal emulator is versus what a shell is. You got a terminal emulator, which has shells on it. So it can do basic things, but a shell is what enables you to do more commands because it's literally just commands of a different type that are like using other commands. So like that's what shells mainly are. So we're not building a new shell, we're building a new terminal emulator. So that's basically what we're doing. So how are we going to build this terminal emulator? We're building this terminal emulator in Godot. Basically, all the terminal emulator is basically the front end of a terminal. Like it's just the front end of what you see and everything, how it renders and all that stuff. That is a terminal. So we are building that today. So we're actually going to be doing it in Godot, which is a gaming engine, yes. But because I want to make it look cool, it's going to look great, it's going to look perfect. In the end, not today. Today's going to look like crap. But in the end, it will eventually look good. And that's where we want to get it to. So we're going to try to do that. And yeah, stuff like that. So let's get started, I guess. Okay, first of all, you might see I have like Godot over here on the side. And that's because, or not Godot, Godot, well actually it is Godot. It is Godot's, I got a whole couple things here. I got backend stuff, which we're not using. We have Godot, which we are using. So I have a compiled Godot because we did establish last time that, we kind of need to build ourselves our own modules in Godot to make all of this work because the terminal stuff in Godot that we have currently do not allow us to do a lot of the stuff that we need to do. We need a persistent shell, meaning that every single time you run a command, it's not one-offing it. It needs to keep all of that output. So we need to save that output from the shell and everything like that. So that's what we need to do. On other note, I want to get rid of that. We don't need Copilot right now. Actually, we're not going to need Copilot today because all the stuff we're going to be doing today is actually going to be probably in Godot itself. So I need to adjust my screen because if you actually want to see what I'm actually seeing on my screen, it's actually that. That's what I'm seeing on my screen. I have an ultra wide monitor, so it looks it's like very hard to understand how it looks. It's like it's this wide. It's two monitors thrown together. So I need to, for one, fix it such that you have my, right above me, like that's the chat and the OBS. I need to open this up such that we can do stuff. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna open Nano or Nemo, not Nemo, Nemo. We're gonna go to our directories where we have all of our stuff because I need to open something really quick here. I need to open projects, workspace, terminal, we need to go Godot, we need to go to bin, we need to go to this. This is our Godot engine. All right. We need to also import existing project. Our existing project is, it's going to be in, not here. Well, that's annoying. Our existing project is actually. I gotta, like, what the? There we go. Wait, is that right? There we go. All right, Waterfall Terminal UI. That's our existing project. So we're gonna import that project, which I gotta say, this is actually kind of awesome that we're able to import, like, literally we're on a completely different engine of whatnot. Oh, it's weird. It thinks it's a floating window. That's weird. That's very weird. Well, this might be a Hyperland setup kind of stream because it's not registering as a whatever window that we want it to be. We need to fix that. How are we going to fix that? We're going to do Brave, Copilot, Ask AI. Godot is registering as a floating window, and I don't want it to be a floating window in Hyperland. So if you didn't know, we are in Arch Linux. We're using Hyperland as our desktop environment, and I'm liking Hyperland, except for there's a few things that work and a few things that don't work. All right, so how do we fix? First, step one, we need to identify the clients. So let's move this to the side, or move this actually the other side. Then we need to open a terminal. We're gonna do blah, 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 hyperlink clients. We have windows of different types. What is this? Class Nemo. It's hard to tell what's what. That's Brave browser. Here we are, Godot engine. Unless there's multiple. Is there multiple? No, it is that one right there. Or no, that one right there. All right, so we got that. Okay, look for the entry related Godot, noting class or title. All right, edit your hyperlink config. So it needs to be window rule v2 equals title class. Class is Godot. Okay, there we are. And then what's the title? Title. The title will change, so we just need to change the class and the class. All right, let's open another terminal. We're gonna go to CW, which is hyperlink config, which is HC, and as my commands for it. We're gonna scroll down to. We need it as a rule somewhere. Where do you put rules in the hyperlink config? This is Arch Linux at its best, is when you gotta edit things like this on the go. So this live stream might be a bunch of that. We're gonna be fixing things up so we can actually work with it. But the nice thing about this is you can kind of save all of this stuff off and put it on a new system and it works almost the same. So that's the cool thing. Even though people don't think it does. Because it would be the same exact config if you just started from the ground up, especially if you build it yourself. All right, here we are, Windows and Workspaces. Okay, so let's copy that really quick, throw that in there. We need to change this to classes. Actually, wait, no, we actually did want that. And I think I just totally messed up no. Let me replace that. We probably could just do that, to be honest. All right, I think we just want it to be the class because the title does change. So we're just gonna do that. So we'll control O that. Couldn't error config file invalid rule v2 found class blah blah blah. Okay, you know what? We'll do what it wants us to do, which is the title, comma, because the class is called Godot. So I don't know. No, it doesn't like that either. Oh, it's tile, not title. It's tile. Whoops. Control O. Okay. All right, now maybe it works. No, it's still floating. Still a floating terminal or a thing. All right, what does it say here? This is class and title. Wait, is there like a tile? Or is this saying that when class is Godot, here, let me just paste this to the AI so it can kind of just know what I'm supposed to do. All right, thanks for sharing your window. That helps a lot. Add this rule. Okay, it is actually basically the same thing, except for it just has a $sign at the end instead. And then we can reload hyperlink, but I think our hyperlink actually reloads on its own. Or maybe we have to fix it. Find other way than apps floating unnecessarily, you can add blah blah blah. Okay. Control. Let's do hyper. This might break everything, so we might go offline when I load this thing. It's basically gonna oh, whoops. Not there. What am I doing? Did that save? It did save. Okay, cool. Hyper control reload. I think we might have to like close out a Godot. Let me close Godot really quick, then maybe reopen Godot. Actually, wait, we reopen using this. Oh yeah, there we are. Except for now it's like all sizing is all weird. I gotta give it some room. There we go. There we go. That's what we're talking about. That's what we want. Except for we don't need half of these things. We do want that to the side of us. We do want Control Alt. Ooh, we want these to be. Here, let me like resize this such that you guys don't need to see all of that jargon. Maybe keep it about that size. How does that sound? I think that's a good sizing. All right, then I'll get this off the screen so you guys don't have to see all of all the live stream stuff. Instead, we have Godot up here and whatnot. All right. I think that's good, right? That's good. Actually, we could probably increase Godot's size a bit more too. And when we open, it will open a terminal just like that. Booyah! Look at that! Look at that! Oh yeah. All right. So okay. All right, so if you didn't realize, last time we got to this, where basically can just do ls and it can do, commands. It's keeping track of all our commands and stuff like that, and that's where we're at. Today, I'm kind of thinking we need to add a few things in here. So what are all the things that we've got to add is probably we want to programmatically build this out. Gosh, I gotta think through this a little bit. Let me go to our Godot project, or our, let me go to Bitbucket, or not, GitHub. That's what we're looking, GitHub. We're gonna go to our profile. Do I not have? Here are waterfall terminal. Top left here. All right, this is our thing. We have 22 issues. So oftentimes I think people are really, like, when they kind of start watching, or when they start doing a project, they make the big thing where they like go at it like ham and do a lot of stuff, but then eventually they lose steam. And I think something that can help direct you is basically like agile and all. Basically, mark down everything you need to do and put it all into its own notes, which is what this is. It's the 22 issues that I have of this thing, or 22 things that need to be done to make this thing a plausible thing, and it helps direct me to basically do stuff. So basically, starting from the ground up, what do I need to do is I got this thing running. So we probably could mark some of these things done. So we can input command line commands. We have gotten that to work. So I think we can actually mark this one as done. Here, let me close this out so we have a little bit more room, maybe. Yeah, we can mark this out a little bit. We're probably not going to need the this terminal down here as much, but we'll do whatever. We're gonna close this issue. All right, we have a, all right. So let's mark this down as we built the modules part of Godot such that now we can simply make a new terminal, and send commands to it, and it keeps the history. All right, so I'm just gonna comment that. We're gonna close this issue. So now we have 21 issues. All right, so functionally we did that. All right. C++ compile successful. We have done that. How did we do that exactly? Is we probably need to actually, I think I have a README here. Did I put in here how we do that? Yes. Basically what you got to do is you got to download the project and then compile it. Right? All right, so download the project from GitHub, then run this to compile. So we're gonna put that there, and then we got to tell it to basically, it will be in a /bin folder in the Godot repo. And you can just straight run that in any Linux setup. All right. Close with comment. Booyah. Look at that. 2 things done. 2 issues done, guys. 2 issues done. All right. What's some other stuff? Fix CPP, turn the pass aired buffer, as well as I need to confirm that. So like if we do get a output that is wrong, how are we gonna get that kind of stuff? The unload button for terminal control basically does the undo, as well as, okay, that's something that we're gonna have to, oh, that's gonna be, I just realized that that's gonna be like a lot harder to do. Yeah, that'll be a lot harder because that's gonna be per command basis, basically. I mean, we need to take in commands, and that's more of a shell kind of thing. We're gonna have to be building a shell at that point to be able to do something of that sort of scale rendering, I don't know, stuff. Okay, Visual Studio Code, like scroll, that would be kind of cool, yeah. I wonder if we can almost actually add that. No, we need to get an actual thing that's going like continually. So let me think. Okay. I'm trying to think how we're building this out exactly. Make sure we're kind of doing something. Okay. I gotta think like how we gotta think through how we're gonna do some of this stuff. It's let me see. Is there any other things we can do easily here before we really dive into how we're gonna do stuff? Possibly. I don't know. I think we need to do the bubble containers. The bubble containers is like one of the key features of all of this. and we need to get those to render. So, because we have an input-output kind of system, but we need to build the system on startup. So, I think what we got to do is we need to have objects and scenes and scenes. This is where I need to start breaking down into how game engines work. Okay, so let me start like a new little thing here. Okay, I'm building a terminal emulator in Godot. I want to make a system such that there is what is it? I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this. So we have the input controller, which is a big thing. That's how we get our inputs and outputs. We have a main.gd. What does our main.gd do actually? Let me think about this. What does the input edit do? So input edit, we grab a new terminal. What does main.gd do? On ready, new terminal, stat bash that, ls that. This does nothing. All right, this does nothing. This is just a test. I think we want to build this such that on startup, what do we do on startup? We need to draw.io, guys. We need to build the vertical slice of our game, or at the terminal, but we need to do that. Open from, oh wait, no, open from device. Open from device. We want to open other locations. This, home, that, projects, workspace. This. All right, here we go. Open in this window. Yes. All right. So here we are. This is over here to the left. This is kind of our structure of stuff. That we kind of have a setup for. Here, can I like? I feel like we need like an even amount on both sides a little bit. And I think we can probably shrink. What can we shrink? What can't we shrink? We can shrink this down quite a bit. There we go. Yeah, we need that. We don't need this to be that big. We just need that to be like that big. This can be like that big. All right, cool. I gotta like resize things to make it nice for us to see. All right, so top left, we have all those things going on. This is our text character system. But basically, what we need to have happen, open app. Then from app, we then go to this state where we like when app opens, it loads history. All right, for one, load history, which we'll figure that out later. That's gonna be a later to do, but it's number one. Two, so we load history, grabs the information we need to fill out whatever stuff. Two is open a brand new terminal. Opens new terminal. Object. New terminal object. I'm gonna like kind of like think it through. A new terminal object. And that is your use case. Use open new terminal object. Then they're gonna mess with the terminal. So what do you do when you mess with the terminal? What happens is you on enter creates new visual terminal object. Yes. So I think what we're basically creating is we will have an ongoing theme of basically you have your shell over here. You have a shell open, but next to that shell is the terminal emulator. Terminal emulator that basically one displays shell commands and outputs, two keeps history to do terminal emulator features. That's basically what you're doing. Those are the two things you're. So like that's the feature part of it. The other thing is just normal terminal emulator. The two is where we're actually building out what we want to do. So I think that's like the flow of what we're kind of building out. So with this, we kind of know better of where to start. So we open app, opens history, but we're not going to work on that now. We're going to do that a different day. I don't feel like doing that. We want to. The real thing is the terminal. We need to get this thing to actually be a working terminal that like you could use, like legitimately could use. Then eventually we'll build some other stuff that we want to do for our actual terminal emulator. All right, so we need to get that start up. So on start, basically, we need to go and open some scene. How do we how do terms, so this is where I need to do a lot more research on how we use the game engine framework basically to be able to do what we want to do. So with that, let's go. Okay, I'm building a terminal in there. I want to make a system such that, or have a module in Godot called terminal that basically acts like a shell, but what I really want is on app start Godot, we create a terminal or a input object. And when that input object runs, it then creates a output object below it and a new input object line below that. That is like the essential thing of what we're trying to build. So basically we build the input object, then we build, and then when you run something, it builds the output object underneath that, and then it spawns a new input object, which has the history of the previous input object, and then it can go so on and so forth. And that is our bubble object masterpiece of stuff. I think that's kind of how we're gonna do it, but I do want it featured where somebody could click a plus. I don't know. I'm gonna have to run into the use cases later on. We need to build per use case at this point to be able to get this thing to work how we want it to work. But that's kind of like what we're gonna do. So you're using Go to have a custom terminal, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right. Start new. Okay. Suggestions implementation strategy. All right, so create input and output scenes. Okay, so input line scene, output line scene contains a label or rich text label to display output. Each should have a script attached to handle its own logic. I don't know if I like that setup necessarily, but maybe that's what we're gonna do. All right, so we have a terminal container setup in your main terminal scene. So I think, yeah, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a new scene. We're gonna call this scene terminal, right? No. What do you normally call the overarching scene of everything in Godot or in any engine? Because all of them use kind of the scene build up of how things work. I think we call it something along the lines of trying to think. I think we just call it waterfall. We're gonna call it waterfall terminal. Is that kind of how we want to do it? It's gonna be a 2D scene. All right. So we have the waterfall terminal. Waterfall terminal is blank. That's okay. So waterfall terminal is gonna have a script. Actually, wait. Let me run this. It runs. It has. Wait. I think you need to like set it such that that is going to be the overarching scene start. Globals, plugins, general config. All right, there. Now it's set up such that when I run, it will now be a blank screen. Yeah, okay, cool. So now this is the start of our scene that we are here. Okay, so we need to spawn a new terminal. So we're gonna probably want to attach a script to this. This is gonna be the overarching terminal of everything. So in your main terminal scene, use a VBox container to stack input out and output line vertically. So I guess we can use a VBox container. Yeah, I think that's right. We probably wanted to use a VBox container. VBox container. And in that VBox container, in out container equals that. I think that's how we want to do it. Is that how you would do this? The default object uses blah blah blah, which won't return nodes in the scene tree before ready is called. Use @on ready. Okay, @on ready. On ready space. All right, @on ready. So we're declaring that so we can mess with this object. We're gonna need to mess with this object a little bit. So we got the in-out container. So the in-out container is this VBox container. So the VBox container, we want to generate a I feel like we want to generate the terminal overall now. I'm trying to think. If we generate a full-on overall terminal right now, because people will use this app such that, will they spawn, do we want to build this app such that people will spawn multiple of this app? Or we use the tabbing kind of system where you have multiple tabs of stuff, like how normal terminals or modern terminals have become. Because that will change how I functionally do this. I think it's not going to be too hard to switch it later on, so maybe we don't worry about it as much. Gotta make sure I do this correctly though. So yeah, let's go to our terminal or the input line. All right, so we're gonna have a new terminal. Var terminal equals that new. Wait, how do we do it in the other scene? Do we actually use this in here? We do not use this in here. Let's get rid of that. That's kind of a confusion point. This is like my input controller thing. This is handling the input of all controls that would go into this. So you don't want to spawn you don't want to create a terminal in there. And then this is a focusable. So this is how you can tab through and do focusing. We do like that. That's helpful. So line, this is nothing. We actually probably can delete this main.gd. I'm gonna just delete it straight up. Can I delete it? We don't need main.gd. Oh, oops. Yes, removed main.gd. Okay, the main.gd is removed. We don't need that thing. That thing is, throw it out. At line edit is where we do a bunch of stuff here. Let me control C this and throw it in because this line edit's gonna be different. So we're gonna create overall terminal, yes. So we pass in a new terminal object. I think we want to build a bubble. I think we're gonna, yes, let's build a bubble scene. Because this is all part of a bubble. Okay, new terminal, file, new scene. We're gonna call this scene bubble. Yeah, I'm calling it bubble. And then bubble is going to actually, wait, why do we need to create a new thing here? Let me delete that actually. Delete that. Yes, delete that bubble scene. We're gonna rename the waterfall term or the, where was the other one? Input bubble into what we wanted it to be, which is, so we're gonna rename this thing to be bubble. A file or folder that name already exists. Okay, I don't care. Wait, what? I just delete. Wait. Remove that scene. Rename this scene because it has what we want in it. Bubble. All right. All right, that's bubble. That's waterfall terminal. I would like this to be ordered how I want it to be ordered right here, but that's okay. We can have it just ordered how it is. Okay, so we have that. I think on, I'm trying to think, how do we want to do this? So waterfall terminal, actually let's put this below because that's below. All right, on terminal. All right, so func ready, func ready, we want to new, I think we want to do a couple things. So basically, one, load history. Oh, this is a to do. To do, load history, because we want to be able to create a history and then load a history file. And then two, we want to run or open a new bubble. I need to start coming up with like a standardization of like how I'm going to call these things. So load history and then new bubble. So we're going to do a function. We're going to do spawn bubble. Yeah, spawn bubble. Blah, 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 return. I'm going to actually add a function here. This is going to be a to do, but it's going to be like a function. It's going to be load history. And then we want to like just return that really quick, just like that. All right, so that's that and that's that. I'm gonna build this such like the commenting system that actually no, let's have this actually above it. I'd rather have that above. Yeah. Okay, so we have load history and then we want to spawn bubble or open up a new bubble. So we're going to, so what are we doing with spawn new bubble? New bubble is going to basically be how are we gonna do this? We need to have how do we add a full scene? Oh, I know. Oh, I see. Over here on the right, you instantiate a scene. Okay, yeah. I forgot how to do half this stuff, so I gotta like remember how these things work. So we need to do var bubble or lowercase bubble. Bubble equals bubble Can I do that? No. Equals bubble dot instantiate. Bubble is not declared. How do you declare something like this? So input line. Oh, I see. So you preload a scene. Okay, I see. You gotta preload these things. So we gotta do var bubble equals preload. And then yeah, it's a bubble scene. Okay. So that and that. What's this warning sign? Wait, normally it's a warning of some sort. Is declared but never used. Oh, okay, it's just a whatever one of those things. We don't care about those things. Okay. All right, so we have a bubble. All right, so what do we do? Set output, your shell logic begins here, add child object. Okay, I think we want to instantiate a bubble, but bubbles will pull all of its information from the overarching terminal, which I want to actually write out. I'm a developer that actually likes writing out terminal all of my variables because I know that people don't like doing that, or they just are not good at doing that. I don't know. Wait, I just realized what I want to actually do different. Hmm. I'm trying to think how I would do it, but I want the overarching app to store a bunch of terminal objects or shell objects. I should really call these shells. Shell equals terminal.new. Basically, it's creating a shell. So it's a shell object. And we're going to enumerate our shells. I'll add that later. I think that's literally me making a list later on, enumerating them, throwing it to that list, adding some system of such that can maybe. Darn, I have no water here. Maybe like adding those shells and moving them and some like popping and putting on somewhere in the indexing of the list so it can be able to like shift around the top if there's like a whole tabbing system I'll probably install. Yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna do it. All right. So all right. So we have bubble. Bubble's instantiating. I think bubble is going to inherit from that shell. This is where it runs into stuff because if I have multiple shells and the history is all messed up because you're seeding to location, so you now run a command and you think you're in a different location, it could get messy. I'm kind of like building a whole analogy here, and also because like I call this waterfall terminal because I waterfall describes the application of how it feels. Bubbles are like all of the different commands in that river. I'm building like a philosophy as well as a terminal of how I should be describing these things. It actually is kind of nice because if you kind of can follow the theme, it like makes sense a little bit better. So maybe it'll work out decently. Right now, if I save this and I run it, what is it gonna? No, it does not add the. It does not add the thing. Okay. Da, 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 da. Why do I have this stuff here? Let me like move this to underneath this and delete that. Rename this. Actually, I don't necessarily need to rename this. Can I just run this? No, I need this. I want this. I want to run this node right off the bat. Can I open current scene? That's what it is. Yeah, that's what you gotta do. You gotta open like the current scene or whatever, something like that. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think how I'm gonna go through this. Okay, so we got the overarching. I thought I can move these around. Can you not move these around? Huh, that's weird. Didn't realize you can't move these things around. All right, so you instantiate the bubble. We add child bubble. So the scene itself will have a thing in it, right? I think that's how we're gonna do it. So we add child, it's gonna be a bubble. On ready, we want to spawn bubble. So now when we run, it will have a bubble. Booyah. Bubble is now there. Though image, what's going on here? It does work. There's an error somewhere. Something's out of bounds. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. So let's do this such that all right, let's what do we do? What do we do? Let's build out the bubble now. So we run the thing, gets us and creates a bubble. Bubble shouldn't have output until bubble has output, I guess. I don't know, something like that. So let's go to bubble scene. Bubble scene creates a input output box. Can I like, no, input output. Okay, fine. You know what, screw it. All right, so we have a extends line edit button, or the thing. We want to inherit from parent terminal, or how do we call? I think we want to inherit from get tree dot I thought you can get tree, do something with get tree. How do we, is there like globals we can set? Let me see. I feel like we can set some kind of globals or something like that. Project settings, globals. We can set scripts as globals. Yeah. We need to set, we need to grab a reference to it. If I pass that into the ready, would that become a reference? Maybe. Why don't we give it a shot? Let's give it a shot. So instantiate, and we're gonna throw in here. We're gonna throw in shell. Wait, instantiate. The instantiation triggers a node that's the instantiation nodes on the node root. Can I pass in the shell object into the instantiation of my my input object? So the terminal or the shell is a global to it, but is a reference only. But it's a reference to basically what it is as a parent. I don't know. Does that make sense? I don't know. Let's see if the AI can understand that. Pass the shell's reference. Okay, so you got function spawn input line. Input.shell equals that. Pass reference to terminal. Excellent. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I like that idea. So we do bubble.shell or bubble.shell equals self.shell. Okay, yeah, that's how we do it. All right. Then in my input line, or in the thingamajig, we create da, 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 da. var shell on ready. On ready we may grab focus, do that kind of thing. We need to signal command blah blah blah. No. Var line edit line. No. How do we grab the shell? If shell. Kind of wondering, maybe we don't need this per se. We can take this out of here, delete this HBox container specifically. So it's like basically just an input output, like, you know, next to each other. So we're like kind of building it out manually, but we're gonna want to do all the graphics eventually where it's kind of like resizes it depending on what the size of your screen is. So we'll have to do that at some point, but right for now we're gonna just leave it as is and we'll just do that sort of thing. So on ready. So I think what we're gonna do is gonna do shell here. So I think on submit, it's like if shell, we will do kind of what it's telling us to do, which is like that. So if shell does that. I like the idea of that. So let's run this thing. All right, shell with value of type terminal of the base type node. Invalid assignment of property or key shell with value of type terminal on a base object of type node.2d. Wait, what? Invalid assignment. I wish it would tell me. Wait, does it tell me where? Waterfall terminal.gd. So it's saying in here we can't do bubble.shell equals that. I think we might need to take this script and reattach it to the top script of it. Or here, let's just bubble that. attach script bubble.gd. Sure, why not? I'm gonna basically grab this whole thing, throw it in here instead. We'll do all the logic above rather than below. I think that might be a little better. So yeah. How do you delete this thing? I don't need that. Line edit, yeah. I think that's just gonna be a little easier to understand how all these things kind of tie together. Detach script, there we go. Okay, that is one way to do it. Close that out, we don't need that. All right, okay, so we have bubble.gd, we have waterfall terminal, we have two globals. So the bubble extends node, we do need to, so on ready, we need to do child, basically input. Actually, we want to put that in here. Or wait, can you do self dot, will it gather the stuff below it by chance? I think it might be able to. I think it can do that. We'll see. Well, it might have some error of like loading, doesn't load in time or something like that, but it'll be worth it. On ready, var equals, actually this might be a lot easier to reference things then, because this is just this. This is the output module. So at on ready, this is var input module equals that. And this can just be input module. So we on focus grab input module. We'll throw that in there. So then if shell, so we have the variable shell. We do var shell.send result equals var.shell send command print result. We'll just do that in here so we can see stuff. If result is success, we output module is text, and then we do input module.clear. Or actually, we don't want input module.clear because what we want to do is we want to spawn a new thing. So we're actually going to get rid of the clear altogether. So let's run this. It spawns it. ls. Not working. Let me see. So if shell, it is printing result. No, it's not printing any result. Meaning it's not even getting the shell. Ah, wait. We need to input module dot text. Basically, any reference to self is going to be the modules underneath it. That's basically how we need to have it built such. So now if we do ls, doesn't work. I think it's still missing the shell. Kind of wondering if we should do this in, well, we kind of need the IDE, the Godot IDE to help us out with a few things. So we have bubble shell, output input. We have it set such so we can focus. No, it doesn't set the focus. It's not focusing like we want it to. So let me look at our focus manager really quick. How do we do this again? Focusables, focus, register focusable, node, if node, blah, 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 blah. We try to call register focusable, focus manager for register focusable. We try to do input module, but I don't think input module is actually passing in here. Do we have to do like self dot? Do we have to do self dot input module? Possibly. Okay, it's able to grab that. Wait, we have register focusable input. We want to focus manager. We want to register both. My headset just died just now. But that's okay. I'm not really using my headset. That's okay. Throw this to the side. We don't need it. Oh, I got like 2 headsets just lined up here. Just whatever. Okay, so I think we want to double this line, except for we want to set the output first. I think with the self.output module first. Okay, tabbing gets us through both the systems. All right, so I think we restored that. That's good. Do I need to do like, do I really need to like reference self all the time? Or is that like something that we don't need to do? It looks like I don't need to do it, but maybe we do. We'll just be explicit, you know, explicitly say all this stuff. Just in case, if that is the reason why it's not doing all these things. What's this? Result? Okay. It's not grabbing the shell. How are we supposed to pass the shell in then? Okay. In their example, they did make it such that they do input.shell equals. So they instantiate the input.shell equals self. We're doing of here shell. We do bubble.shell equals self.shell. So it should be passing it correctly, right? Let's add some print lines here. All right, so it is a shell there. Okay. Just double checking. Then let's go into input control or input mod or blah, what is it called? The bubble. Then on ready, we want to just print shell. All right, shell is a thing. Can I like print shell here, maybe? Oh, ah. The submit button doesn't work because submit's not a thing in function. I need that's input to be okay. So I guess input does need to have it does need to have this function in it. So I think what we got to do is we have to have the input module and the output module. Then we need to have um the how do we want to do this? Because I don't want to have like tons of code everywhere. I would like the code to be quite central to like one spot. If plausible. One second, wife is messaging me. Oh, what does wife want? What do we got here? One second. I feel like my wife is. Okay. Sorry. We need to register that. I have a input line under a node, but I want the submit logic to be in the node and not on the input line, just to make it easier for myself. Can I do that? Question mark. Or okay. How to delegate submit logic to the parent node? Input line seen. Oh, we have to like we have to make a connection point between those two. Yeah, maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we'll have to do the input line logic. So we'll have an input line object. We need to put this underneath it. But that means that we got to grab a shell. How do you get parent? I just want to get parent. Get parent dot shell. If get parent dot shell. Wait, what? If get parent dot shell var result equals this. Self.text. So var result equals get parent dot shell send command. We're gonna send that command. And then we want to set the bubble output. So I think we're gonna do bubble output So we're gonna do var bubble output. Yeah, let's do var bubble output. Var bubble input. Basically, when the input runs, it's going to be like, hey, or when input submits, it's going to be like, hey, if parent underscore dot shell, gosh darn, my wife is texting me. All right, so if input.shell var get parent shell send command if result success, we're gonna do get parent dot so we're gonna do get parent dot what's our parent's thing? We're gonna do get parent dot bubble output. Yeah, let's do that. Dot bubble output equals that. I think, yeah, let's do it like that. Else yeah, else get parent dot double out bubble output is that. Yeah. We're gonna do a bunch of adjusting this around as we start building it out and doing other stuff. We don't really need the input because we're basically just recording the output. Execute submitted. Oh, we need to assign the output. So we need to assign bubble. Okay, so into okay, so we need to change. We need to so var my variable. Actually, we'll just do plus equals. Yeah, we will do the plus equals. Yeah, let's do the plus equals. The bubble is gonna grab that output. Function. How are we doing this exactly? Onready, blah 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 blah. I feel like on change function update variable. I think let's do function update output. New value. I guess yeah. Let's just copy and paste this over. Let's copy and paste this function right here over. Setter to automatically react. Bind with signals. I don't know if I want to bind with signals. We don't need to make it that complicated. Use space character for indentation. Wait, what? So we're gonna do this equals new value. Output module dot text equals that. So I think, yeah, we're gonna actually call this function. So we're gonna call get update, then we're gonna call update output. This might not be the best way to do this. This is where you kind of gotta think, like, is it better to have it that? I don't know, maybe so. Get parent dot update output. I'm just gonna do this whole thing. But instead, do that instead, right? I think I gotta do also output module. What? Why isn't it self dot output module dot hide? So if bubble underscore output is not equal to that, then we're gonna do self dot bubble output dot. I think there's a thing called hide and unhide and something like that. Is it a toggle? Oh, dot is visible. How do you hide a node in Godot? I can't remember. Dot visible, yeah. Not visible. Oh yeah, we just made a toggler. Actually, that equals false. All right, run this. ls breaks. Why does it break? Update output invalid assignment of property or key with the value bool not on a base object of type string. Oh, I need output module, not that one. All right, there we go. Now we can probably just why is it not working? Also, why did my thing just do all weird sorts of things? There we go. All right, if output bubble output. Okay, wait. Bubble output equals that new value that dot text. Why don't I just get rid of that? Because we know it's only being called once, but why is it not working? We want the output to appear after it does the whatever thing, so we want it to do its thing. on ready, output module.visible equals false. But then on update, running command successful command failed command. Running command failed command. It failed. But it's not failing. Why is that? Get parent.update output is, did I save this? No, maybe so. Update output. Can I just do like maybe this, where I just do like this dot? Or this dot visible? Maybe I just do that. And just see if that works. I was trying to create variables for it, but maybe I don't. Like this seems to work, so it was working. And that's working. Failed command. Even on a failed command, it should toggle. What's going on? It's failed command. And so it does run update output. Why ain't this running? I don't know. I don't know why this ain't running. Nope. Gotta just test and see. Shall not started. Oh. Well, that would be a thing. Why is it? Oh, I know why. I know why I'm being stupid. Because this doesn't know what it is. That was... It needs to be... Yeah. Ugh. Oh yeah. All right. We got it doing some stuff. Okay. Shell not started though. That's a different issue. Is it really not starting the shell? Wait. So waterfall terminal. Why aren't you doing the thing you're supposed to do? All right. Waterfall. I need, okay, so at onReady, shell, shell not started still. Why? I don't know. Why is shell not starting? Shell not started. Is that an error that I threw in the code? Let me go check this out. Godot modules over here on the side. Go just scroll down the terminal. Where is terminal? Terminal. There we are, terminal. If I pull up C++, or was it the terminal.c++? Shell not started. Master FD. I wonder if it's because I'm on Linux or Arch Linux and it is like failing it because it won't start a shell with Arch Linux. Oh, that could be it. Run, you stinking thing. When I'm sending an out or a command, I'm getting a shell not started. Why would this C++ result in a shell not started? And then put my C++ in here. You're getting shell not started because master FD is still native 1 when send shell is called, meaning shell start either wasn't called or it failed to initialize a shell property. Let's walk you through the likely cause. Shell start shell never called. Make sure you explicitly call start shell. Oh, that would do it. That would do it. All right. Booyah, baby. Boo flippin' yeah, we did it. Look at that. Look at that beauty. The beauty. Woo. All right. All right. I think we can do a little bit of sanitizing to this a little bit. So for one, result output dot new line, result new line. We do not need this. This is completely not needed at all right here. Because it puts it in the thing automatically. All right. I don't like that it starts a new shell right there. You see that? I don't like that. Gotta figure out why it's doing that. Is that really part of the output? Just like plopping that in as the output, maybe? That could be it. In Godot, I have how is there any tricks in Godot to parse how did So result. Can I just print result? Let me print result here. So result is it's a dictionary. It has success equals true, or success is true. Output is a big string object of stuff. All right, it's a big string object. Yeah, okay, okay. Why is it a big string object like that? We don't want it that big. Okay, that did the trick. It seems my C++ is appending the next shell line when I to output, and I don't want it to do that. Okay, what you're seeing is the classic side effect of reading from a pseudo terminal. The shell often echoes the command and then prints the prompt again, which ends up in your output string. You want to capture only the actual output of the command, not the echoed command itself. The shell prompt like bash any training new lines or artifacts. Okay. How to clean the output. Okay, so since you're sending the command yourself, you can strip it from the beginning of the output. Okay, that's easy enough. I will be doing that from the start of the output and strip the prompt. Your shell prompt is predicted. You can blah, blah, blah. Use a shell. Okay, can you put that all together in my C++ file for me to recompile? I'll give it my whole recompiling thing again. Absolutely. Okay, so it does. Here, I need to give me a little bit more. And then, okay, so we, look at this, it just includes a flip ton of stuff here. It's not, do I need to add all that stuff to it? That's gonna suck if I have to add all that stuff to it. Maybe, let's try it, let's try it. So we have terminal, start shell. Start shell doesn't do anything we need to worry about. It does change it a little bit. Hmm. Trying to understand how this works. This looks like it's doing some stuff that I don't know if I want to worry about. I think we'll just I think we can leave that alone though. Dictionary send command if blah 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 success output result std string outputs. We're doing some stuff there. We're command echoing new line. Oh, we're setting delimiters and stuff. Okay, I see. You know what? Let's trust it. We can always go back if we need to. Let's recompile. All right, CD. Okay, we're here. Let's go to code. We don't have XCons, so I need SCons on Arch Linux so I can recompile Godot. Oh, did I just like sudo pacman-s scons? Okay, so we're gonna redo all that. This might take a while to compile. Well, not too long. It's at 13% already. We've been streaming for an hour 40. I think I might stop this here while this recompiles and does stuff so I can then just go do some other stuff. I think we've made some headway on our project though, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it there for now. Thank you all for watching. I might get on later, do another live stream later. My dog somehow always knows when I'm about in a live stream. So thank you all for watching, and I think my dog knows the term thank you all for watching. I think sometimes dogs might be smart enough to know things and also smart enough to know not to beg at other times to make it seem like they don't know things. All right, see you guys.